get on your feet for ASEA athlete Michael DiDonato. Go get him, Tiger.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow, this is amazing. I love the energy here. That's the one thing that I really love. One of the questions that they had asked us at the breakout session was, what do we love about the product? Well, yes, of course, the product, but it's the people. The support that Kyle and I have been getting is just absolutely incredible, and we just love you all. And thank you so much for all the support that you've given us. Yeah. So you saw the video, and I just got one thing that I got to say about that video. I don't like to run, I don't like to swim, and I don't like to bike. But my buddy does. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory on kind of how I got here. So my family has a manufacturing shop. We're a machine shop and a sheet metal fab shop. So we do a lot of big commercial, industrial type work, government work, that kind of thing. And in 2009, I met a gentleman by the name of Dick Hoyt. How many people have ever heard of Dick and Rick Hoyt of Team Hoyt? Yeah, they do. They're a father and son duo. Rick has cerebral palsy, and Dick has been pushing him in thousands of marathons, triathlons, all over the world. So Dick lives a couple towns over from where I was living at the time, and I had heard of him, but I was never into running or anything, but I knew he was very inspirational in what he and his son have done. I happened to see him going into a grocery store. As I was going in, he was walking out. And I said, wow, that's Mr. Hoyt. The guy's fantastic, you know? And I wanted to introduce myself, but I didn't want to look too foolish because I'm sure he gets bombarded. Well, I know now he does get bombarded by fans throughout the world. So I ran through the parking lot as he was getting into his van, and I said, Mr. Hoyt, Mr. Hoyt. And I said, listen, what you do is fantastic, and I didn't know what to say. And I reached in my pocket, I'm like, you know what, I got a business card. So I said, here's my card. If you need anything, any kind of help, reach out to us. We're in the manufacturing business. We work with metal. If your bicycle breaks or something, we could fix it for you. So we went our separate ways. A year later, I got a page off the shop floor. So I walk into the office, and there's Dick Hoyt standing there, and I'm like, okay. So I walk over, how can I help you? He says, look, Rick just had spinal surgery. They put rods in his back. We tried to put him in his running chair for the 2010 Boston Marathon, but he's in way too much pain. So he said, can you build us a new running chair? Now, I'm standing here. My father, who's very old school Italian, is standing here. And as Dick asked us if we could build this running chair for him, my father proceeded to say, well, you know, Dick, we really don't do that kind of thing. I stuck my hand out and said, we're going to do it. And my father, I can feel the heat coming from his eyes looking at me, because this is something that is totally foreign to us. We've never done this before. Dick shook our hands, and he left. And I turned and looked, and he's like, okay, how do you, Mr. Big Boy here, how do you plan to build a running chair? Have you ever built one? And I said, no. But we got a lot of guys, great guys here, that we're gonna figure this thing out. So, long story short, we figured it out. It made his son comfortable, and they were able to do the 2010 Boston Marathon, and it was a crude model, it was heavy, but they got through it. And over time, Dick would come in and say, hey, can you kind of tweak this and tweak that? And sure. And he came in and he said, you know, I'm getting older, so can you make the chair lighter? So we went and we made the chair lighter, and he started racing again. And a few months went by, and now we just did this as a favor for Mr. Hoyt. We just did this as a total favor, no problem. I happened to be in a bike shop one day, and I overheard this woman talking about her son, who was in a horrific car wreck. And she was asking the bicycle shop owner if he knew of any cool rims that he could find for a wheelchair, because her son, who was very active up until the age of 10, they were in a horrific car wreck, hit by a drunk driver, killed his father, paralyzed Kyle for life. She had asked the bike shop owner if he could help her out, and he said, I really don't have any contacts. And here I am, I'm just like, okay. So I walked over and I said, we just did a favor for a guy. I don't know if you've heard of Dick Hoyt. And she goes, oh my gosh, yes, of course I have. So we built him a chair, and Dick now, of course, has been running races. How about if we build your son a chair? And you know what, I'll push him in 1 or 2 races, and yeah, we'll call it a day. She was very excited, to say the least. I had just realized what I had said. And to cover myself, I kind of said, I should probably ask my wife first. And she said, you know what, I'm going to go home and ask Kyle. So we exchanged our numbers. Of course, my wife is totally on board, but she did say, you're going to run? Yeah, I'm going to run. So anyway, we built Kyle a chair, and we started doing short races, 5Ks, 10Ks, and that kind of thing. And what happened was, so we were doing races, and Kyle, his health is up and down. He's got very special needs. He's had many, many surgeries, and he's got a lot of hardware in his spine. So a couple of years ago, we had a bit of a scare with him, and his hardware started infecting, going against the body. So they had to pull the hardware out of his spine. Very serious surgery. Prior to that, he had made this bucket list of everything that he wanted to do. So before the surgery, he wanted to do the Disney half marathon. That was on his bucket list. So we had the opportunity to get in. They allowed us to get in as a duo athlete, and we were able to do that, and it was absolutely wonderful. And then he had his surgery after that. And the healing process was tough. So what happened was, after the surgery and his recovery, he had this infection that was like 2 inches deep in his back. It was a hole that was 2 inches deep. And the doctor said something interesting to Kyle's mom. She said, there's a lot of dead cells around the wound. And she said, you got to keep it clean. You've got to really monitor it, pack it, and just really take care of him 24/7. They couldn't allow this thing to get out of control. Lisa's Kyle's mother. She had called me and she said, that stuff you're taking, that ASEA. I told her it's ASEA. She says, yeah. She's like, didn't you tell me it's something about cells? And I go, yeah, it is. She said, well, the doctor said that there's all these dead cells around there. She's like, you know what, I am desperate. I want to try, I'll try anything. So we got Kyle a case of ASEA, started taking the ASEA. She started spraying the Renew 28, spraying the ASEA on it, but rubbing the Renew 28 around the perimeter of it. And it took quite some time to heal. However, he would have regular visits with the doctor. And the doctor looked at the wound and said, what's he doing? What are you doing, Mom, for this to heal so quickly? And she goes, I'm just doing this stuff, spraying some ASEA. He's taking this ASEA, and she's like, listen, whatever it is, just keep doing it. And he is healed up tremendously. It's amazing. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So he's continuing to take the ASEA, and I'm not sure what he's at. I think he's doing 6 and 6. I think he's doing 6 ounces in the morning, 6 ounces at night. I'm not sure. I haven't checked in with him. He also would suffer from spasms in his legs, painful spasms. He told his mother they're almost gone. I mean, since he's been on the ASEA. Yeah, fantastic. The other interesting thing is when he started, shortly after he started, he had this interest in art. He wanted to start painting. So Kyle only has very little mobility in his right arm. So he's able to maneuver. He can type on an iPad. He can move his wheelchair around. And now what he does is he dips his fingers. He mixes different colors that his mom, it's kind of a two-person job. His mom will lay out all the colors. He picks the colors, and he'll mix the colors the way he likes. And she'll have his canvas on the tray of his chair, and he'll just start. Take some time. And then he has a roller, and he'll roll some different colors together, and he'll start rolling things. And he did a couple of paintings, and his mother, of course, she's so proud of him, she posted on Facebook, and immediately sold. Somebody's offering money to him. And he sees that, Kyle, now, you gotta understand, he's sharp as a tack. He's on Facebook. He messages me. I'm surprised he's not messaging me right now because he knows I'm on stage. But, and he sees that, oh my goodness, people are appreciative of what I'm doing there. So now he's selling artwork all over the country. And it's just another step. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I don't know if you all saw it, but they're having the auction out there, and he's got one of his paintings, his ASEA paintings, with his mom's book. His mother wrote a book about this journey since the car wreck up until now. It's called A Mother's Journey. It's a tough read, what they went through. So interesting. There's a reason why I'm up here, and the reason why I'm up here is because I was able to extend my hand to somebody that needed a favor and help them out. Twice I did it, Dick Hoyt and to Kyle. And not only has it fulfilled me knowing that I'm helping a friend, but it's also helped, in my business. Because since I've been pushing Kyle, I've gotten the experience of in the special needs world. And I push the product that we now make. And when I started doing a couple of races with Dick and Rick, Dick approached me and he said, there's a need out there for these chairs. And I said, really? He said, all over the world. He said, we've been to Japan, and we did a Ironman in Japan, and when we were finishing the run, people were bringing their disabled children out of their homes because they put them away there. He said, we need to get this product out there. He said, look, I'll put my name on it. We'll call it the Hoyt running chair, and you can sell these. You guys make them and sell them. He says, but you can put my name on it because I'm out in the community. And so we did that. And an interesting thing happened. That was about the time social media started booming and Facebook started coming up. Dick and I put a post out there that, hey, we've got these chairs now that we've made a couple, and what do you guys think? Do you think you'd want something like this? the response was tremendous. But the crazy thing was, we never said that we were going to start selling them. I started getting checks coming to the shop. And my father's saying, hey, we got a check from somebody. Who are these people? And I told him, I don't know. And he's like, well, I'm not going to cash them. And I said, okay, don't. And of course, they would reach out to me. I'd get a phone call at the shop. And that was very powerful to me. Because it told me that, inside, it's like, all it was just trying to help somebody out. Because I had a resource, the manufacturing business. And so being here at ASEA, and I know you're all associates, and you're trying to grow your business, and as human beings, I really believe the key to growing a business is just being available for people that you meet every day, not expect anything in return, and just your resources, whatever you're good at, whatever you may have, just be free and offer it just to help somebody out. You never know where that's going to lead to. And you can't go wrong, right? And that's the thing. There's some reservation there, I'm sure, when you're offering yourself for somebody. But there's no negative to that. There really isn't. In my experience anyway, there really is no negative to that. And I encourage you to do that. Just kind of be observant of things and see. And I know ASEA has their mission statement, and I know the gist of it. I don't know it off the top of my head. Who knows it? Could somebody, do you know it? Be a force for good and better people's lives around the world. Right. Okay, so ASEA, I love this company. I was able to meet a lot of the executives, and they live by that. The company lives by that mission statement, which is wonderful. But my question is, I'd love to see hands. How many people have actually, and don't lie to me because I'll know, how many people have actually wrote out their own mission statement that they stay on course with day in and day out? Go ahead. Right, not many. A lot though. 2008, I actually wrote down my mission statement, and this is it, and you can steal it from me if you like. My great aim is to love others without others loving me in return. That was the end of 2008. In early 2009, I met Dick Hoyt, and I followed through with my mission statement, and I haven't looked back, and I've had no negatives, just positives. It's just something that I just wanted to give to you as far as that goes. It's very important, I think, especially if you're trying to grow a business. Absolutely. But I want to tell you a little more about Kyle. So he and I do races a lot, and we're actually doing a half Ironman 2 weekends from now in Atlantic City. That's on his bucket list to be an Ironman. I don't know what he's going to have next. God knows this. I know what he's going to say. He's going to want to do a full Ironman. Yeah, he will. He's going to want to, and that's okay. But he's the one that gets me through the races. I have no desire to run a race by myself, absolutely none. I do enjoy bike riding by myself with friends, just to get out and get some exercise. But he's the power. He's the heart and the spirit, and I'm just the arms and the legs. And he and I have a communication going during our races. I got a funny story that I want to tell you. So we were doing an Olympic triathlon in Holland, Massachusetts, and it's an extremely hilly course, ridiculous. And so the way it goes is I put a harness around my back, around me, a tether, and I pull Kyle in a raft for the swim part. And then we have an attachment on my bicycle, and I pull him behind me in his chair. And then we get back from the bike. In the transition, I just pull the bike attachment off, I throw the front tire on, and then we run. So we were in the run part of this race. And the hills were just crazy, right? So he hears me struggling. He knows when I'm struggling. He can hear me breathing. And of course, our tempo will slow down when I'm really struggling. And we came on this monster hill. I mean, it was just massive. And so I start, and I think I got this one. I told him, I got it. And then all of a sudden, after I'm saying, I got it, I just start slowing down. I'm like, dude, I don't got it. And I started pushing harder. And normally, I do not cuss. I don't cuss at all. On this hill, I was cussing like a truck driver. It was bad. People were looking at me, asking me if I needed a hand pushing. I'm like, no, I'm good, leave me alone, And next thing I know, I feel the chair shaking. And I'm like, what? And yeah, my buddy here is laughing and shaking. And I'm like, dude, come on, Next thing I know, I see his hand come up. So we got this thing. So if it's good, Kyle has his thumbs up. If he doesn't agree or it's bad or he needs attention, he'll put his thumb down, right? So he puts his hand up and he did this. And I'm like, dude, what's up? What's going on? And he just went like this. And as we're moving forward, I notice his fingers are getting closer together. And closer as I was like, oh, yeah, And then we crested the hill, boom, fingers closed, and the thumb went up, and we just kept going. And he just pulls me through. He pulls me through every race, absolutely. Another thing is, he loves. Okay, so here's I get torn at these races because he wants me to go fast. He wants to win, and we've placed. We've gotten first place in the Clydesdale division of triathlons because we're heavyweights. We've placed second, we're extremely heavy. We've placed second in a couple of 5Ks, 10Ks. So I'm doing good, So we have this one race, Worcester, Massachusetts, simple 5K. Hey, Worcester. So we start the race and we're going, and I'm feeling really good. And so we're running, and we're at the last water stop. He sees the last water stop, and he puts his hand up. And he's reaching out, and he normally doesn't do that. He doesn't need water for a 5K. I don't need water. I'm like, you good? And he put his hand out, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he needs water. Of course, I'm going to tend to him. So he starts, I give him the water, and he's like this, and I see him kind of looking to his left. And all of a sudden, a group of people come by, and there's this girl. She runs by. He drops the cup, and he goes like that. And I'm like, no. Oh, my God. So I knew immediately. So we're running. Now, the problem is that we're heavyweight. We're Clydesdales, okay? And this girl was like 5'0", fit, and she's like gone. And he keeps going like this to catch her. And there was no way, there's just no way in the world. So we got to the finish line, and I'm like, what was that all about, man? You know, I thought we were in sync here. We want to try and win. We want to compete. And he's just laughing, he's smiling, you know. So now the deal is no more stops. I don't care, because I could tell when you're lying. No more stops. You see somebody pretty that you like, I don't know, somebody you want to meet, let me know before the race. And we'll make it a point that if we get to the finish line first, we'll turn around, we'll hang out, relax, and I'll introduce you to her, okay? And so that's the deal that we have now, is that we finish the races as quickly as possible, get over the suffering. And yeah, so I've got 4.5 minutes left, and I really want to touch on one thing that's very emotional to me and just very powerful. And so when I was younger, I got picked on a lot, bullied, and I know a lot of people have. And so I started weight training when I was a freshman in high school, and because I vowed to, I'm never going to get picked on again. And so I stayed away from drinking and that kind of thing with, you know, the parties and that kind of stuff. And now, mind you, I'm a child of the 80s, so, you know, it was, you know, people partying in the woods, you know, after school. And this one guy, he would razz me and he'd be like, hey, Mike, you know, you going to come and party with us? You know, after, you know, gonna have a few beers, you know, beers. I'm in Massachusetts, beers. And of course I didn't, because that wasn't my thing, but it was kind of like a joke, you know, he was kind of poking fun of me. Anyway, because I made the choice not to do that. It's funny how your choices affect everything in your life. Fast forward now, just give me a minute, fast forward now. I read Kyle's mom's book, Mother's Journey. I'm reading it, flipping through, gets to the accident, gets to the court, when they went to court for the drunk driver that killed his father. And I look at the name of the person that did this. It was that guy that I graduated high school with, that would poke fun of me because I didn't want to follow the crowd. Isn't it funny how our choices can go in different ways and then we meet? So you never know whose lives you're going to affect. You never know. And it's amazing how Kyle's life was affected in a negative way by this guy. And it's amazing how funny how same graduating class, I just happened to run into her in a bike shop, and all it was just, you know, going after my mission statement. To love others without others loving me in return, just putting myself out there for them. Please do the same thing as much as you can. It's not easy sometimes, but I think it'll make you grow just grow as a human being and grow your business and your family. My kids grew up with seeing Kyle and me as friends. I don't have to tell them to, hey, make sure you treat people, you know, right. You know, don't make fun of people that may walk a little different or may talk a little different than you. I don't have to say a word because of my actions, because I was just willing to help somebody out. That's our story. Thank you for having me. You're wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
You can see why we wanted to ask Mike to share his story with you. Can we bring the house lights up real quick? I wanted to make sure and share something before Mike leaves the stage. Michael leaves the stage. You found out about ASEA because?
My mother.
Your mother. And his mom is here.
And
so she's right down here. Thanks, Mom.
And I just got to say one thing. My mother's from Greece, and Greek mothers have the ability to make you feel very guilty. And she harped on me for a year to try ASEA. And finally, I tried it, and thank God she forced it down my throat, basically. Thank God.
And your mom's name is?
Dina.
Dina. Dina, who introduced you? Emily. And who introduced Emily? And who introduced her? And who introduced her? All the way. And who's your upline diamond? Trish Schwinkler. Stay here for a second.
Sure.
So I wanted to share the chain, right? Because without Trish and Alan and Sue and all of the people in this chain, none of this happens. Michael's not in a store introducing somebody to a product that can have a huge impact. And we're not introduced to an individual. And as I was listening to Michael's comments today, I grabbed our core values. Everything that you just shared with us can be summed up in these core values: humanity, authenticity, sustainability, performance, growth, resolve, collaboration. I wanted to make sure that you understood the impact of every single partnership that ASEA participates in is a direct reflection of our mission, our vision, and our values. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate what you've just shared with us. Wish you the very best. And we want to throw the slide up so that you guys can follow Michael and Kyle on their journeys at Team Unstoppable on Facebook.
Thank you.
On Instagram at Michael_DiDonato1 and at HoytRacingChairs.com. Give it up again for ASEA athlete Michael DiDonato.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
I love
so
you.
much.
Thank you.